Secretary Bandyopadhyay.
Sir, I rise to support the bill. This is a three-in-one law. It simultaneously amends the Security and Exchange Board of India Act 1992, the Securities Contract Regulation Act 1956, and the Depositories Act 1996. This is a fairly complicated piece of legislation which requires a thorough knowledge not only of the laws it seeks to amend, but the complex functioning of the financial market. The Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992 was enacted for the purpose of increasing the confidence of investors. But unfortunately, the Act was not implemented in this true spirit. Inaction on the part of the authorities under the SEBI Act and the lackadaisical attitude of the authorities under SEBI have resulted in the Act not being properly implemented. Steps were not taken against erring stockbrokers, sub-stockbrokers, share transfer agents, and other intermediary and non-banking institutions who are actively associated with security market and to refund the money to the poor investors. In the interplay of sharks of the money market, they lost out totally. Cheat funds have grown in this country like mushroom in last 3 or 4 decades. They have a history beginning in the southern Indian states and then spreading all across the country. 3 or 4 decades ago, scam involving a company called Sanchayita came to light in West Bengal. Thousands of families were ruined, but culprits got away. This cheat fund business continued to grow unchecked through 80s and 90s in different names, cheating unwary investors. Most of the cheat funds were not registered under the SEBI Act for 3 long decades. These unregistered cheat funds functioned to maximize profits for themselves, caring nothing for the investors. Investors were left in the lurch. I would fervently appeal to the finance minister to prevent any further mischief and to protect the general investors who had been unfortunate victims of the foul game of financial operators in the market. We are happy that the government has come forward to protect unwary investors from falling victim to the sharks who operate in the money market to maximize their own or their corporate gain at the cost of investors. Once the bill becomes an act, SEBI would have powers to call for information not only from the people or entities associated with the securities market, but also from persons who are apparently not directly associated with the securities market. Besides, the capital watchdog would get increased powers to crack whip on the illegal investment schemes. The bill aims at protecting investors as well as to curb for fraudulent investing schemes thriving at the expense of poor innocent investors. We are happy to note that to deal with this huge pendency, special courts will be established for the prosecution of offences under securities law to provide speedy trial. This is a welcome feature. To keep credibility of the SEBI, we would caution the government not to use its power to settle any political score. While appointing chairman, the government must ensure that the candidate has the highest credibility to have investors' confidence. In West Bengal, we have had a bad and long history of the activities of such cheat funds for the last 40 years. This is not a new phenomenon. The case of Sanchayita is well known. SEBI would proactively try to control such mushroom growth of cheat funds in whichever name they operate. The Trinamool Congress would always support any pro-people legislation, but SEBI should not convert itself into another CBI. May the FM consider 2 observations. The opponents of the bill say that giving such power to one body may lead to misuse and make legislation draconian. There is a clause to summon anyone not even directly connected with the matter. However, pluses of this bill far outweigh a few negatives. And consider an orderly exit to such schemes so that the small investors are not inconvenienced. We must do all that it takes to stand by the smallest investor who looks to us to look after their interests. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for keeping up the timing.